items at regular price.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon, Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Phase 2 of the Track and Signals project for the full Metro Blue Line begins June 29th and requires replacement bus service until August 19th. The Metro Green Line will also need replacement bus service at select stations for several dates of the Blue Line maintenance period. Sign up for rider alerts and learn about replacement bus station locations and dates at metrotransit.org/track-signals. Again, that's metrotransit.org/track-signals.
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Visit during free Thursday nights. Every week from 5 to 9 p.m., there's something new to explore. Enjoy date-friendly events like artist talks, performances, and exhibition openings, or explore art-making open library hours and exhibition tours. Settle into your weekend among community. Free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms expected with a low of 56. Then Wednesday, rain and storms continue with a high of 70. Summer is here, so have a night to remember with dinner and a show at Crooner's Supper Club. Crooner's is located in Fridley on Highway 65, just north of I-694. Check out their concert schedules and dinner menus at croonersmn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, today we're going to have our friend Alfred Walking Bull come on here in just a moment here, and Alfred Walking Bull will share some insights on Indigenous storytelling, culture, and community engagement. I'm really excited to have Alfred on. And then later on, we're going to have Mark Tilsen, who will be discussing protecting the Pipestone at the upcoming community briefing and public comment workshop that's coming up really soon here at the Minneapolis Indian Center. So really excited to get an update on that. And I see Alfred is in the bullpen. I want to add Alfred right now and turn your camera on and your mic on, Alfred. And it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being on Native Roots Radio. And I've been really looking forward to this and having a nice talk with you. Thank you again.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk. I know a lot about you, but let's talk. Let's tell our audience out there all over Turtle Island a little bit about yourself. And really, I love the show because we amplify people like yourself that are out there doing things and been in the community and are in the community, and talking about what you're doing and what you see. So again, Alfred, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Hamitakapi, Hoyakiapi, Machiapelo, Chante Weste Napechius Apelo. My name's Alfred Walking Bull. I'm originally from the Upper Cut Meat community out in Rosebud, the Rosebud Reservation out in South Dakota. I've been living here on my Dakota cousin's land for 13 years here in Minneapolis, Bde Ota Oṭuŋwe. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of storytelling, a lot of organizing, a lot of fundraising lately, which is a really good way to combine all those parts. And so I've been currently my current gig is for a group called Tending the Soil, which is an alliance of 5 nonprofits that do organizing for BIPOC and immigrant communities.
That's awesome too. And I know you have experience on the radio. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much you wanted me to get into it, but yeah, I host the 4th Thursdays on KFAI here in Minneapolis. It's called Fresh Fruit. It's the nation's longest running weekly queer radio show. And before that, for a year, I did a weekly morning radio show on KFAI called Grand Entry. And it was a mix of queer and Indigenous and BIPOC music that I would find anywhere I could. This is when I found out that the Canadians were kind of beating us in the music game. So,
yeah. Well, I appreciate you and I ran into you at the Democratic convention too, and both you and I had a lot to say. And I'll tell you, we are on a commercial station here, so I speak my mind in a good way. So the floor is open to you on whatever you want to speak about, because there's things going on that are good, and there's things that are going on that are super bad, and we gotta, like, really, as Native Americans, I always say, and especially when ICE came up, Alfred, I really welcomed our community, our allies, welcomed them to the fight, because we've been fighting for 500 years.
Yeah, that and that's kind of what I end up doing in a lot of the spaces that I'm in, is reminding people that Indigenous folks have been doing a lot of the organizing and the resistance stuff since 1492. So when ICE came through, a lot of what I was trying to uplift for folks, we would host a weekly community briefing for anyone who wanted to learn about what organizing was happening in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. And we had Robert Lilligren on, and who was just talking about a lot of the stuff that was going on Franklin Avenue and Little Earth, and really talking about how how the AIM Patrol had been reactivated, and to that point, I think it's important for folks to remember that, this is the birthplace of AIM. This is where resistance, organized resistance, began to police violence and police intimidation. And so, like, when I get into those spaces, I try to remind people that, natives have been doing this for a lot longer than you have, probably. So it's not that you shouldn't lead, but take a moment to think about who has done this work before and what have they learned, and how are you taking from those lessons and that wisdom, and how are you applying it going forward. And I think that's part of what we're continuing to reteach and relearn, even 6 months down the road, right? So today, I think you saw the news about the 15 protesters who had been charged.
Oh my God, I read those charges too.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're bringing them up.
And I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I saw there's already footage of the protesters who got pepper sprayed at downtown St. Paul. So that was, and they're at it again. right? And so that's kind of the wisdom, is that like, oh, when your enemy finds a tactic that they can just exploit, they will. So like, remember that like assembling and reminding them that they're not in the majority is the trigger for them. So use it to where you can be most effective. And I think for a lot of what we went through, it was a reminder for folks, especially doing a lot of solidarity work. Like I talk about how in the neighborhood I live in South Minneapolis, like even thinking about it now, I kind of get a little choked up when I like would drive down the street and see neighbors just standing on the street corners with their whistles, and especially when I went by the schools, right? When I'd go by the schools when they're like being let out, and so it's that reminder that, yeah, when times are hard, this is an Indigenous kind of lens to have, is like who are the people around you, who are the relatives around you who are here to help, and how can we leverage and work with them.
I don't know if you know this, Alfred, but Native Roots Radio was started because of the lack of information coming out of Standing Rock, and we'd go there, and our lying eyes would see and hear totally different things, or not hear anything at all. And then we had in Standing Rock, we had Hennepin County sheriffs beating up natives and enjoying it, and then of course we had George Floyd, where people from the outside were burning our city down, and then all this other stuff that's happening that, I see our Indigenous community, whether it's American Indian movement or, Dion's, Rachel's group, and those guys that are walking the streets now and protecting the neighborhoods. And during George Floyd, we only had one building burned down because of what our community was doing to save our buildings in Minneapolis, and that was because of Makoce burned down because there was fires in other places that came and sparked their fires. So we protected ourselves, and we're used to doing that. And we got like 30 seconds in this segment. Alfred, let people know how they can find out more about you, because I know you got a website, and I know you got Facebook, and how people can engage with you.
I'm on all the social medias. I hang out on Instagram at Hoyekiapi, which is HOYEKIYAPI. And I like to keep that handle just so the English speakers get a little tripped up.
Good one. Hey, we'll talk more. This is we're here with Alfred Walking Bull, and we're just shooting. How do you say, the bison meat here on Native Roots Radio, and we got more to talk about. So, hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Phase 2 of the Track and Signals project for the full Metro Blue Line begins June 29th and requires replacement bus service until August 19th. The Metro Green Line will also need replacement bus service at select stations for several dates of the Blue Line maintenance period. Sign up for rider alerts and learn about replacement bus station locations and dates at metrotransit.org/track-signals. Again, that's metrotransit.org/track-signals.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible Indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and we are with our friend Alfred, a walking bull, and we're just talking about things here that us natives like to talk about, and you know, besides people and, you know, all that stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But, the community's strong, and we're strong together. And again, I really enjoy listening to you and listening to our guests about the work you're doing. Let our people know again how they can listen to you and on KFAI, because Native Roots Radio plays the best of on KFAI here in the Twin Cities too, and produced here out of AM 950 and all over civic media, and we really appreciate all our partners.
I do the fourth Thursdays on KFAI Fresh Fruit, the nation's longest running weekly queer radio show that is at 7:00 Central. And you can also find me on the internet. I have my website, which is walkingbull.com, or you can subscribe to my Substack, where I do have some pre-recorded content and a lot of writing, and that's in media res, INMEDIAREZ.substack.com. And so the folks can find me there.
Well, and that's awesome too. And you were the former, one of the former, and I don't know how this came about, but I guess I'm the chief editor now of the Circle, and then the headdress. But the managing editor in the past. Talk a little bit about that and what you see and hear about the future. And I really appreciate you getting back involved with the Circle.
Yeah, happy to do it. The Circle's really, really important to me. It's the reason why I moved here to Minneapolis. And so I was the managing editor for about 2 years, and that was about a really good learning experience. What I had walked into was a lot of like learning about what a nonprofit is versus what a newspaper was. And so I thought I knew it all, and I didn't know a damn thing. But it was a really humbling but like good educational experience for me. And so it's really good that it's in your hands now, Robert, because it's a good resource for the community here, and it's been going for what now, 45 years, 46 years?
Yeah, 1980.
Yeah.
1980.
Yep. So it's good for it to have strong community support. News is always a hard row to hoe. I think that was when I left the Circle. Hyde Erdrich actually like commented that when I like updated my Facebook status, and she said it's always a hard row to hoe. But I think in your hands it's going to do really great. I think for the community, the Circle is a really vital resource because it's independent of any tribal government. It's independent of any nonprofit organization in Minneapolis, and so that's the thing that really drew me to it. And and learning how to manage a nonprofit was exciting and terrifying at the same time, and also it's part of the reason why I got sober. And so that's kind of, when I got here and I was still drinking and I was still, partying and going out on the weekends. It took 3 months for me to realize, I gotta like buckle down. I gotta be a grown up now. So it really helped in that way. And so I really love the Circle and everything that it's it's done for our community here. And I think news in Indian country is still such a wide open field to be creative.
Mhm.
Right. So we had, like for folks who follow like native news, like the whole turmoil that happened with Indian country today and how it reconstituted and all of that, and how even just, I think when I was doing that weekly show, I would download National Native News and I would play that during my show, because that's another thing that like folks aren't used to in our community, is that like, yeah, we have like 5-minute news breaks. Yeah, well, why not?
Mhm.
Let's find out what's happening in Oregon. Let's go find out what's happening in California. Let's go find out what's happening in Rhode Island, or wherever the big casino is.
Yeah. Well, I have a different picture of you now, with a bottle of booze and a cigarette in your hand and one of those hats with a press on there, and just
Uh-huh.
in front of a typewriter. That's awesome. But
That's-
it's great to hear that you're sober. I've got 41 years, and we're people to deal with now that we have a clear mind, and so it's good to hear that.
Yeah. And that was, and that's also part of like my being here in Minneapolis is that, and in Minnesota, is that I at the time I would say that Minneapolis and Minnesota is like a hospital. You come here to get well. And I really still believe that, especially having been here for 13 years. I've only ever gotten better, which is, it sounds a little conceited, but it's also like, it's not just me. That's the other part of it too. Recovery also teaches us that we have communities of people who care for us, and people that we can rely on. And so I think that's a part of why I continue to be here. And it doesn't come for free. Like we're talking about Metro Surge. That was a heavy lift for community. And before that, George Floyd and the uprisings then, and so this place is it challenges us, but it's also still this place that continues to heal us. And I think I think our Dakota cousins had the right idea when they got off the Milky Way and landed here.
Absolutely. Good one. Well, I know Minnesota is known as land of the 10,000 treatment centers, and there's recovery everywhere if you choose to do it. I feel like I didn't get rehabilitated. I got habilitated because I really didn't know how to live until I put the plug in the jug, as they say. And it's always cool to run into to people. Alfred, one thing I wanted to ask you too, and I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but we spent some time together down at the Democratic DFL convention, and it was very interesting for a lot of different ways. I don't know if you know this, but I didn't get down there till 7:30 the Friday, and I didn't miss anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you really didn't. It was a really, this year's convention was just so weird, because the big fight, the big showdown was between Angie Craig and Peggy Flanagan. And days before the convention, Angie Craig dropped out. She dropped out of the endorsement race. And so
Right.
you had then the big endorsement fight became for state auditor. So
Yeah.
this office that
Ooh.
I think we only know because Julie Blaha called herself the Blauditor for 8 years. That's the only reason why we know about it.
And she had passion. She'd been on the show many times, and I learned a lot about it. But I kind of forgot about what the auditor does too. But yeah, I learned a lot from her.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was. I think the nice thing on Saturday was, when we had that moment where we all took a photo. It was all the natives at the at the convention for Peggy, and we were on the stairs. And it was so fun because I was like, wow. everybody from everywhere, huh? Okay, cool. and that was, Peggy came out and she was like, this should be the bare minimum. This should be what did she say? This should be the floor of how we interact in our political, in our political spheres. And I think that's true, especially here in Minnesota. I think there's so much room still for Native women to lead at every level of government. And I think that's something that I think is also the magic of this place, is that, whether it's Heather Keeler or Mary Kunish or Peggy, and Susan Allen, the retired legislator. This place has a lot of Indigenous women who are leading everywhere, and I'm always in awe. And I think I think that again, it's one of the things that makes this place really special and really unique, is that it's not perfect, but we give things a shot. And when it comes to my bias in this race is I've known Peggy since she taught OLC students how to organize back in 2011, and so she's my candidate in this race. Yeah.
Right on. And mine too, as you know. Alfred, thank you so much for stopping in. I did make a live announcement when we have Robert Lilligren on Thursdays that you will be at Pride with us doing an hour show on Native Roots Radio. And we're really excited to have you join the team. And I'm really excited that I'll be working with you with the circle. And thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. Up next, we got Mark Tilsen. We're going to talk about Pipestone and the fight of Pipestone. We'll be right back. It's Native Roots Radio. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Visit during free Thursday nights. Every week from 5 to 9 p.m., there's something new to explore. Enjoy date-friendly events like artist talks, performances, and exhibition openings, or explore art-making open library hours and exhibition tours. Settle into your weekend among community. Free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible Indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Phase 2 of the Track and Signals project for the full Metro Blue Line begins June 29th and requires replacement bus service until August 19th. The Metro Green Line will also need replacement bus service at select stations for several dates of the Blue Line maintenance period. Sign up for rider alerts and learn about replacement bus station locations and dates at metrotransit.org/track-signals. Again, that's metrotransit.org/track-signals.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Warmer weather, sunny skies, summer is here. At the Walker, this means mini golf is open on the rooftop. Artist-led activations return to the hillside, and the cinema has a series of curated films. It's the perfect time to visit. Gallery admissions are free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org/summer.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms expected with a low of 56. Then Wednesday, rain and storms continue with a high of 70. Summer is here, so have a night to remember with dinner and a show at Crooner's Supper Club. Crooner's is located in Fridley on Highway 65, just north of I-694. Check out their concert schedules and dinner menus at croonersmn.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Wow, that was great hearing from Alfred, and I'll be seeing him later. We have our friend Mark Tilsen, our new friend Mark Tilsen, waiting in the backstage here, and I want to bring him on here. And we're going to be discussing protecting Pipestone again, and a awesome call to action, what's going to happen, I guess, this week. And I'd love Mark to be able to talk about that and whatever else he wants to talk about. Mark, thank you so much for coming on again at Native Roots Radio.
Oh, pleasure to be here. Just let me introduce myself for a moment. Wakopa luta machapalo kahe sinte elwati Oglala Lakota mie. My name is Mark Kenneth Tilsen. I'm Oglala Lakota from Porcupine, South Dakota, and I'm here to talk about Pipestone.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're here to talk about it. There's a action happening at the Minneapolis American Indian Center that you're a big part of. I'd love to hear about that and how people can get involved and do the right thing and talk about what's happening at Pipestone. And appreciate you coming on, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, on June 22nd, starting at I believe 1 o'clock until 4:30 p.m., we're going to have a comment jam and a teach-in over at the American Indian Center, and yeah, and the whole idea is like we have until 4:30 for all of the initial comments to be submitted to the Public Utilities Commission, and we're going to be working with Braveheart Society, and I think we're also going to have Elijah Smalls, who's an ecologist, and let's see, Dr. Alexis Archambault, who's a hydrologist with Braveheart, and so we'll be talking about Pipestone, Minnesota, and the quarry from both ecological, hydrological, political, and cultural perspective. And yeah, and part of it is protecting the sacred site itself, and also part of it is asserting tribal sovereignty, that we want to have the ability to say no when these pipelines cross our treaty lands and our traditional lands as well.
Yeah, and I'd see Rachel Dion Thunder will be one of the speakers, yourself, and like you said, Eli Small and Dr. Archambault. Really excited I'll be stopping by because it's only a few minutes from my pad over here, and then I could still get back and do the show. But what a great idea to do this, and I just cannot echo this more and more about the great work that you're doing with Indigenous Environmental Network, and talk us, people that are just listening in too, talk about the sacredness of Pipestone and what's involving in this.
Yeah, as you know, or maybe not, like this is one of the things that's really surprising. There's a lot of people who don't know is for most source of our pipes, most source of our chanupa, the red catalanite only has one source, and that's the Sacred Quarry in Pipestone, Minnesota. And it's one of the things that when we're talking about these, we've all been given teachings about the pipe, but when we say it's like it's all connected, it's actually coming from one individual source. And it's kind of crazy to think that, like, the pipe that you have could be made from the same stone from the pipe that your brother or your family or somebody you never even met, like, they have a chanupa from that exact same stone as well. And it could have been right next to each other, formed in the exact same formation, physically close. And there was this teaching that I remember when I was a young man. They were coming up and they were telling us in a spiritual and energy way, is like whatever energy you're around goes into the chanupa. And how we're learning it now is like physically, it's true. It's a porous material, and so if it's contaminated, it absorbs whatever the contamination is. And so it's one of the reasons why that we have to protect pipestone. And the Magellan Pipeline was originally created in the 1940s, right through the quarry itself. The permit expired back in 2022 and has been basically decommissioned for years. And they have reapplied for a reroute permit. And they have one proposed route at less than a mile. They have another proposed route at 3 miles and a larger route at 5. And what we're asking them is to deny the permit in its entirety, that we are not in favor of a reroute. We want no new pipeline. And I think the more voices that we have that are unified with that same message, it's really important. And it's also, we're building off of some of the work that our elders and our tribal leaders have done. Steve Vance out of Cheyenne River, he pointed out that this company chose their own contractor to do the cultural survey, and a option of no action taken, a denial of the permit, was never even presented to the tribes. So they're going to have to write in and pass resolutions, like I believe it was White Earth, that since last we talked, they actually passed a resolution coming out in direct opposition. They're saying any future pipeline that has to be considered needs to be based on free and prior informed consent with the tribal nations. And our tribal nations need to be engaged in a nation-to-nation relationship, not treated as, I feel like the current status is expert witnesses on cultural, oh my God, I can't even remember the technical name that they use, but items or artifacts. But that's kind of the de-evolution of what the treaties are being treated as. And it's like, no, there was literally a treaty, the 1858, the Treaty of Yankton, which actually created the protected area of Pipestone. And for Lakota people, we were connected to our chanupa through Bde Ota Oṭuŋwe. And my understanding is she is a reincarnation of Woape from our creation stories, the lawgiver. And with her came the sacred rites of the Lakota and Dakota people. And so it's why all of our ceremonies have a chanupa at the center of them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at my pipe too, and I kind of got chills when you said that it's all from the same place. And I do know that, but to hear that again, it's amazing. I'm looking at it too, and of course, it's not put together and only put together when you're using it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
My buddy Dallas Nelson would tease the heck out of me because as a younger man, I was very much involved in our ceremonies, and I came up going to Sweat and Sundance and all of that, but I'm not really around them as much as an adult. Guy who's slowly creeping into my middle age. So I apologize for speaking before my elders, and I recognize there are many many more people with much greater experience and expertise about this than I. The stem in the bowl is a metaphor for a life coming together. And in that completion, it is a symbol for our life, our way of life. For Lakota people, Dakota people, all of the prayer that we have, and this is our primary tool in connection to Creator, goes through the one pipe that's cared for by the white buffalo calf pipe keeper. And this is a traditional role. And all of our prayers kind of come together and go through that. And I think, and I remember there was a time, like, what's kind of funny is I was born after the Indian Freedom of Religion Act.
Yeah, 1978.
Yeah, and so, but before that, having a chanupa was almost probable cause for being a militant Indian, for a radical. Like, you could get harassed for having long hair, and they would use the fact that you'd have as a pipe has evidence of somehow that you're part of the Red Power movement, or you're part of AIM, or you're one of those radicals, or one of those traditionals. And in the eyes of the state, that kind of all got mixed together and mashed together. And, you know, I think we very much are coming from a place where, like, we walked through the doors that were kicked open by the elders in the generation before us. And we're very, like, I've never lived with our ceremonies outlawed before.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I tell people too, and we talk about this quite a bit, is that I was 17 when this law changed. Imagine that, I'm only 65 right now. Well, I guess I'm old, but I hung around with Clyde Belcourt in his last, 10 years of his life. And when anything ever special happened, whether we were in Wounded Knee or in the Badlands, he would make sure that he would pull out the pipe and pass it around. And for that, I'm ever grateful to be amongst giants like himself.
Yeah, I think we owe a lot to that generation. And it's one of the reasons why, like, right now, it's kind of crazy, is like, hey, we can stop a pipeline through some public comments. Like, we don't have to fight them on the land. Nobody's trying to chain themselves to a bulldozer. You can literally send an email and have your voice heard, and have it heard powerfully. And it's one of the things that I want to make really clear to the state of Minnesota. It's like, I understand that you believe this pipeline needs to go through. In just the way that railroads feel inevitable, or AI feels inevitable, or the way that, our economy once operated off of whale blubber. And all of those actions feel incredibly inevitable. And the truth is, we know that there are goals within the state of Minnesota to be aligned with combating climate change, and our contribution to greenhouse gases and burning of fossil fuels. And this pipeline goes against those publicly stated goals.
Absolutely. Hey, we are here with our friend Mark Tilsen, who is with Indigenous Environmental Network. Sorry, Mark. Well, and I should get somebody on here that can talk. But hey, we're going to come back and talk some more with Mark. And I'm glad that he's here, and we're talking about real things and how people can support this, and the action that's coming up. The community briefing at the Minneapolis Indian Center, 1 to 4 p.m. on the 22nd. We'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho!
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Warmer weather, sunny skies, summer is here. At the Walker, this means mini golf is open on the rooftop. Artist-led activations return to the hillside, and the cinema has a series of curated films. It's the perfect time to visit. Gallery admissions are free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org/summer. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible Indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and we are here with our friend Mark Tilsen, and we're discussing the Pipestone and the upcoming community briefing and public comment workshop, which I just think, Mark, is a brilliant idea. To have people come in there and learn and do the public comment right there.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen the idea work many times. This was a really common thing. Black Hills Clean Water Alliance did it. I think Indian Collective did it too. Back when people are still fighting mines out in the Black Hills right now. Just had horrible news out there. Dewey Burdock actually got authorized by the Bureau of Land Management. They did a FONSI, which is a finding of no scientific significance.
Huh.
So another mine to fight out in the Black Hills is popping up and rearing its ugly head. But in Minnesota, we still have a chance to shut down the Magellan Pipeline. And one of the things that has occurred to me since last we talked is what a terrible name for a pipeline.
Thank you, Mark.
And it's like, it's because it's so grandiose, right? It's like named after a Portuguese explorer who went around the entire world. It's like, well, actually, that's not true. He ran into some indigenous Filipinos and they wiped him out. And that is just not a very good name for a pipeline. And I also even stuck with the idea and the imagery of in my head, and I haven't found an artist to put it like into visuality yet, but it's like our pipe is stronger than their pipeline. And they have this dream and this fantasy that's fueled by a very temporary spike in petroleum crude prices that they can build pipelines indefinitely. And there's an infinite, endless profit somehow in the future that they just keep on chasing. And it's like, yeah, and how many more sacred sites do you have to be part of to destroy that, to get there?
Exactly.
To be chasing the fantasy. You got to remember, before the Iran war, we were sitting at, what was it, 55 a barrel out of WTI crude?
Yep.
And like wildcatters they quit dropping new wells and they quit doing untested at about 65 a barrel. And I think the break even is somewhere between 35 and 45 a barrel for just keeping the fracking pumps going on established wells. So this petroleum fantasy is bad for the planet. It's bad for Minnesota. It doesn't actually benefit us. And the people making the money is going to be ONEOK, the parent company out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it's not even going to enrich a Minnesota company.
Exactly. We talk about how China is so far ahead of us when it comes to renewables. Of course, they're still, doing the oil thing there, but they've brought in so many renewable things happening there, and we are falling behind with the orange one taking over and filling the pocketbooks of his friends is basically what's happening.
Yeah, I think he's going to go down as like the grifter president. Like there's just like, well, as well as being like the pedophile in chief. And it's just really unconscionable. The very first authorization he did as an executive order was to sign the Dakota Access Pipeline into existence. And it's one of the reasons, like, it's so telling that that was his first action. Back then, Kelsey Warren contributed to his campaign for about $300,000, and that got him. That was how cheaply he could have been bought 10 years ago. And now the price has gone up by, I think, like 100-fold. No, probably even about that. The petroleum industry has invested over 300 million collectively in the current Trump administration.
Yeah, and we talk about this too here. And one of the things, if you're not old enough to remember this, but when Nixon resigned, he didn't go to prison, but the people working for him and his attorney general did. And I hope the Democratic Party has the guts to really follow through and really, as you put it, attack these grifters that have done so much harm that it's going to take years and years for us to reverse.
It's one of the like Ouroboros type structures of around fascism is that they don't know if they want to destroy their own institutions or weaponize them. And one of the things that they've accidentally done through the actions of doing, through their attempted prosecutions, is they've created the precedent that presidential executive immunity does not stretch to anybody but the sovereign himself. Yeah. So they've created the precedent that all of his comrades, all of his cronies, they're going down and can be prosecuted under a different administration.
Yes, and let's hope that happens because we have young ones come on. My producer is 25 years old, and for the last 10 years, she hasn't seen a working government. I mean, Biden did a great job, but also we have this upside down world about stolen elections and people coming for us and things like that, it's just not normal.
No, it's part of this push to kind of live in an unreal world. I think it was the philosopher who studied genocide was Hannah Arendt. She said the point of the lie is not that the lie is to be believed, but to make access to the truth impossible. And a people who no longer have access to the truth can be made to commit atrocities.
Yeah.
And even Trump's base deep down knows whatever they're being fed is a lie. But that's kind of not the point. The point is reality doesn't matter anymore. The point is to say it so often and so loud that we're no longer even talking about the point anymore. We're now in just this nonsense where reality doesn't seem to have an effect. Like when you're online, it's one of the reasons why when I get engaged with a troll online in the comment section or the DMs, I kind of take a little bit of joy in it because hey, I know you're a human being. We have a difference of opinion, but you're a human being. And now, most of the time, what you're seeing on social media is actually just artificial intelligences, some AI agent creating fake profiles, filling the noise with whatever the latest talking point is.
Right. We saw that with Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor here. There's unbelievable. Everything that they say on that ad is false, but nobody's saying anything about it. And you got to spend millions of dollars to fight that AI.
Yeah, it's one of the things where like right now there's a weaponization of artificial intelligence that is making it really hard to discern what is real and what isn't. And it's one of the reasons why, like, the data center fight is so important. Like,
yep.
Because that like the more the data centers and the new data centers are proposed and shut down, they're starting to run into their computational limits. Like we live in a finite world. We live in a very a very robust but often fragile ecosystem. And I think we're gonna need all of the times, all of our cleverness, our creativity, our ability to think moving forward. And when the hard times come and there's no avoiding them, we're going to need our people with the chanupas to pray to help us see it through those hard times.
Mark, thank you so much. One more quick update. Pipestone upcoming community briefing at the Minneapolis Indian Center on, help me out here, on the 22nd, 1 to 4 p.m. Big Peenigigi, thank you so much, Mark, for stopping in, and great knowledge, and we'll have you on again. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We'll see you all tomorrow.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air.